Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the What Will Enjoy Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. We are into the second last round of the NRLW season. It's not quite sewn up yet, but there are a few teams that are out of contention. Let's get stuck straight into the tips. Round 8 of the 2023 NRLW season starts on Thursday night from PointsBet Stadium, the first ever NRLW edition of the Great Southern Derby, the Sharks versus the Dragons. Sportsbet do have the odds out for this game, and it is the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks sitting at about $1.40, and the Dragons are $2.75 outsiders. The Sharks and Dragons sit just outside of the top four. It is 6th versus 7th, and the losers season is pretty much done. Going into the team list now for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, there's only a couple of changes here, and that sees Anissa Biddle return from suspension, pushing Takarangi out of the side, and Cassie Staples now moves from the centre to the wing, and that is it. For the St. George Illawarra Dragons, there's a fair bit of change, so I'll go through their entire list. We've got Berry at fullback, Taylor, Mapasua, Shania Lindell, Costa, Vela, Nathan Wong, and McGregor. That is the back line. So Ella Costa is coming in for Shanoa Amone after suffering a concussion, and Ella Costa has been a pretty versatile player throughout this season, so she's getting some good games under her belt, and she could become a mainstay from, well, pretty much this point on, or next season onwards. Then the forward pack, Tekaranga Katoa, Target, McGrath West in the front row, Mulhali, Murdoch, and Alexis Taniai. And Taniai, I can't even believe that she's been named. Reportedly, she's done an MCL, and we know that MCLs usually rule a player out for at least 6 weeks. And she's been named to start with jersey number 13 on her back. And she has maybe been the best player in the Dragons outfit this season. She's been fantastic. The interchange is Hopkins, Carlisle, Bright, and Riordan. So if Taniai is not fit and ready to play, which I think is a fair chance that she won't be, Madison Wetherill will come in from jersey number 18. I don't trust the Sharkies, eh? I really don't. They can score points, but they just fade in and out of games. The St. George Illawarra Dragons absolutely put the cleaners through the North Queensland Cowboys last weekend, and in a way, it's a victory. It's a victory that they deserved. They've been a lot better than what their ladder position has indicated. That's for sure. They've got a lot of ticker this Dragons side, and it's a huge credit to Jamie Soward to get them up the ladder or fighting at the level that they are. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the Dragons are playing better footy, eh? At Shark Park, I feel like I've put too much trust into the Sharks this season, and they've let me down one too many times. So if Taniai does play, I'm going to tip the Dragons for sure. If Taniai does not play, I think that's enough for me to tip the Sharks. But at the moment, she's been named. All right, I will tip the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. I would not be surprised if the Dragons get up, and I'm going to kick myself if they do get up, but I'm going to tip the Sharks 112. Game number 2 of round 8 in the NRLW is from McDonald Jones Stadium, the first of 2 matches played there on Saturday. It is the West Tigers versus the Brisbane Broncos for the first time ever. On sportsbet.com.au, the Broncos are $1.35, whereas the West Tigers are sitting at $3.25. Let's go straight into the team lists. So we got BVW in at fullback, Whitfield, Staines, the wingers, Horn, Tafanga, the centres, Pele, Rasarable, and Tatana the halves pairing, and then the forward pack Togatuki, Pryor, Pio, back row Apps, Salatia, and Nevada George in at the lock position. Then the interchanges Curtin, Partu, Kennedy, and Noah. And then going into the Brisbane Broncos, who are just, ever since that loss against the Newcastle Knights, they are starting just to climb up a little bit, aren't they, as far as their form goes? So at fullback, it's Maddock, Robinson, Hofanga, Shisoka, Werner, Broughton, and Ali Brickenshaw. The forward pack, Nuasala, Brill, Clark, Gray, Teitzel, and Denman. The back row, Ferguson, Lafayette, Lenarduzzi, and Lauren Dam. An unchanged lineup from last weekend's victory against the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Yeah, the game against the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks for the Brisbane Broncos, a lot of errors still in the game of the Brisbane Broncos, and you just wonder how they're going to go against a team like a Sydney Roosters, or when they might come up against the Newcastle Knights again, especially when there's so many errors and that defensively they're still leaking a truckload of points. For the West Tigers, they are sitting in 8th position right now. They are a mathematical chance of still making the top 4. They lose this game, their season is over. It is hanging by a thread. They need to win this game. Apps being an inclusion is huge, but I'm sorry, I've got to go for the Brisbane Broncos to win this game 13 plus. And without a doubt, this is the game of the round and probably the game of the season. It is the Newcastle Knights hosting the Sydney Roosters at McDonald Jones Stadium. Unfortunately, there are no odds out for this game and for the remaining fixtures for the rest of the round. I would tend to suggest that it'd be $1.90 each way for sure. This is a blockbuster. This is the game that everyone's been talking about, not since the start of the season, but I reckon about round 3 rolled around at the conclusion of round 3, and they circled this friggin' matchup, and it's finally here. This is going to be so cool to see. The Newcastle Knights are unchanged after last weekend's victory and against the Canberra Raiders in a good quality game of footy. For the Sydney Roosters, an enormous loss. Jessica Surgis is out of this game and potentially out for the rest of 2023 with a fractured finger. That is enormous for the Sydney Roosters. So filling in her spot. So let's go through the back line. It's Baxter, Parker, Frizard returns. I believe she returns this weekend. Sorry if it was last weekend. But Frizard is going to be a centre. She's been wing all season long. Isabel Kelly and Maya Wood. Maya Wood will be the other winger as well. Let's go through the rest of the team list for the Roosters. Boyle, Davis, Hilmawana, Poole, Koenig, Joseph, Rogan, Hamilton, Hopawate, and Pasakala come off the bench. Without Jessica Surgis, I'm still going to tip the Sydney Roosters. They are up here, and the Newcastle Knights, I think, this season have been right there. But without Jessica Surgis, this is going to be a fantastic game of footy. But I'm going to tip the Sydney Roosters to keep the ball rolling. And on Sunday, there is a double header emanating from Cbus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. The first game, the North Queensland Cowboys have been they're taking their home game down to the Gold Coast where they host the Canberra Raiders. Again, there are no odds, but I would imagine that the Raiders would be sitting at about $1.40, whereas the Cowboys may be sitting at about $2.60 or something like that. Oh boy, a really disappointing season. The year came to a finish last weekend against the St. George Illawarra Dragons up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, and the record will forever show that in their first season they did not win a game up in Townsville, the North Queensland Cowboys, and on every occasion they leaked more than 40 points. Surprising, like legitimately surprising about what's happened up there in North Queensland. There has been talk already, well, not talk, but just a couple of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter accounts are already asking, does Ben Jeffries continue on next season? Absolutely, he does continue on next season. It's his first season of a brand new inaugural side, and you only got about 4 or 5 weeks to get things rolling. He'll be back next year, but obviously there's got to be some recruitment. There's got to be a change of game plan defensively, because I think our attack is not bad at all. It's not bad. It's just our defense. We just absolutely dismiss the alarm and you fall asleep, and before you know it, in the blink of an eye, it's already friggin' 40-0, sort of thing. So let's go into the team list for the Cowboys. Goldthorpe, who has been a shining light this season. Nakore, Blackwell are the wingers. Peters and Long are the centres. Tillett and Dibb, the halves. Going into the forwards now, Harden, Manselman, and April Natapuna are the starting front rowers. And Mackenzie Wheel will be, I think she's contesting. She's challenging the grading that she copped over the weekend because she got done for a hip drop tackle. So that at the moment has her missing the rest of the season. But if she goes in and contests it and is successful, she'll be back for the final round of the season. Chester, Tiana Raffstrand-Smith, and China Palata round out the back row. And then the interchanges Faifua, Koroi, Lily Peacock, and Sarika Muka comes back into the side. Going into the Canberra Raiders now, Apia Nichols, Maddie Bartlett, and Tangai are the back three. Robbins, Retty, and Wiki are the centres. Tamara and Quinlan are the halves pairing. We've got Kemp starting, Tamara and Hollyman are the starting front row. Then Elise Smith, Holly Mae Dodd, and Samaima Taufa are the back row. And the interchanges Barnes, Ingham, Matua, and Tava Ranke. It's going to be supremely difficult for the North Queensland Cowboys, but it seems as if their on the road form is a lot better than their home form, which is so difficult to keep up with. But I've got myself a ticket. I'll be there in attendance for this game, cheering on the girls. And look, anything's possible this season, and I absolutely believe that they can get the dub. Raiders had their first ever trip to Queensland only a fortnight ago, and they got belted 40 points. So hopefully that sort of trend continues, and their second trip to Queensland results in a second loss in the Sunshine State. So North Queensland Cowboys 1-12. And the final game of round number 8 is the Gold Coast Titans versus the Parramatta Eels. I would imagine that the Eels would be sitting in the $4 range at the moment, possibly even $5. This is the second ever meeting between the Gold Coast Titans and the Parramatta Eels, and the ledger is 1 apiece. So the winner of this game breaks the tiebreaker. Going straight into the team list now. So Alvania Palete, Karina Brown, Destiny Sinapato are the back three. Chapman, Williams Guthrie are the centres. Kiriaratu and Lauren Brown in the halves as well. The forward pack, Marto, Briley Nati, and Jessica Elliston. Shout out to Watch Her Footy Instagram page. It was through them that I realised that Shannon Marto had ran for over 280 metres, breaking the running metre record for a forward, or just in for a forward, I'm pretty sure. So Shannon Marto is having a great season, and she had an absolutely incredible account of herself this past weekend in the victory against the West Tigers. So the back row for the Gold Coast Titans, Canfield, Bent, and Georgia Hale. And then on the interchange, we see Lafipo, Hancock, Jorgensen, and Danny Perese. To note as well, Talia Fuime Ono has been named on the reserves, so she is that close. For the Parramatta Eels, Abby Church at fullback, Faye and Kimberly Hunt are the wingers, Tui and Tohi Hiku are the centres, Berryman, Duff, and Pearson are the halves pairing. O'Neill, Ruben Cherrington, and Tyler Amiatu are the starting front rowers. The back row is Murphy, and Kennedy Cherrington finally returns after being suspended what feels like 18 months ago that she was suspended. So she finally returns after that awful spear tackle, I think it was. So for the interchange, we've got Taneka Todd Hunter, no Aria Kapua, Ruby Jean Kennard Ellis, and Jade Fonua. Sorry, Parramatta Eels fans. I do think that you'll keep this game competitive for 3/4 of it. I do, because the Gold Coast Titans still cannot hold on to that friggin' ball. If they hold on to that pill, bro, this Titans side can be so destructive. The Eels, I think, will be competitive for the first half, sort of thing, and then I think the Titans will run away with it. But this is a massive game for the Titans. They're sitting in third at the moment. They win this game, they're absolutely locked up finals footy, but their for and against is -8, and they're the only side inside the top four with a -4 and against differential. Uh, if they can belt the Parramatta Eels, improve their for and against, just improves their confidence more than anything. I still think they'd be a little bit away behind like a Broncos who are sitting in fourth with a better for and against sort of thing. Um, but yeah, this Titans side, bro, if Talia Fuimaono does return in this game or next week, and if they can just keep it a little bit healthy, because Chapman's unfortunately had a really tough season so far, this Titans side's going to be pretty close to being there on grand final day. I'm going to tip the Gold Coast Titans here, 13 plus. But they're an exciting team to watch. That well, not exciting because they keep dropping the freaking ball, but they're just the promise, the potential's there, and I really hope that they go to another gear starting this weekend with finals only a fortnight away. Yo, that's it for me. Thank you very much for continuously watching me NRLW A-Side Tip Show. And hope your team wins this weekend. Come on, you Cowboys. I'll be there in attendance. And have a very nice weekend. Hope your team wins, except for the Canberra Raiders. And talk to you guys later. Take care. Adios.